Hey everybody, today is going to be an update video of the Ontario Robeson heirloom knife, trailing point version. Somebody left me a comment a few days ago that they wanted to see basically my thoughts about resharpening and this as a wood carving tool. The initial edge reprofiling I did on this, I wasn't too happy with it. It came out sharp, but it was more toothy than actually sharp. So I kind of put it aside for a while. I didn't really touch it. And then a few days ago, I was like, you know what, let me give this another shot. Because this is my first time sharpening D2, and the only other really hard steel that I've had experience with was M390. And I had a terrible experience with that because I just couldn't put an edge on it. And so anyway, on the second edge reprofiling, try and catch the edge in the light. It is mirror polish. It's not the shiniest mirror polish I've ever done. Some of my other knives have gotten just a lot cleaner, but this edge is razor sharp, and I'll show you real quick what we're working with. Piece of scrap paper. Alright, I mean, you can, I can get those wavy cuts going, no problem. Right, no big problem. As a wood carving tool, I don't like it. That was one of the first things I tried with this knife, actually, right out of the box. It's just, the handle is actually alright to get a hammer grip on. It's just one of those things there's better knives for. Also, I like slightly narrower blades. This is right about, I want to say, an inch wide at its widest point. So I just like the narrower Scandi and flat ground knives for that. Also, I like slightly thicker knives for even just wood carving, not necessarily batoning. I just feel like there's less wiggle, because I occasionally grab my knife with my offhand on the tip so I can use it like a draw knife. And since this one's the trailing point, the tip is a little bit sticky, especially if you're not wearing gloves. It's really dangerous to do that. So again, this isn't my preferred wood carving tool. As always, the reference knife, the Enzo Necker. This thing is a user. Okay, I love this thing, but since it's a user, it's not always razor sharp. I like, I'll go through periods where I don't even touch it up, but it's alright. So you see, it's a little bit hairy because this one gets used so much. But as I was saying before, this has a pretty significant drop point. So if this knife had this type of configuration, it would be better to use in that capacity, like a draw knife. And also this handle is very neutral, which again is why I like it. It's a little thin compared to the Robeson. The Robeson is like a hair bigger, But in this dimension, there's a significant difference in handle thickness, or width rather. But again, since this is neutral, you can, the chest lever grip, reverse grip is nice. There's enough of a hook right here. You won't go onto the blade. Just any way you want to hold it. This one, this grip is alright too, but this hump is a little bit significant. It kind of digs into kind of the bone of your hand, not the webbing. So yeah, it's just a little uncomfortable to do it like this, but you still could, actually. It's not so bad. The wood grip is comfortable. They're contoured nicely enough that you can use this for a long time and not get fatigued, but again, this is more of a skinning / food prep knife because it works really well for onions and garlic and stuff like that, whatever you're trying to cut in the kitchen. But really, this was designed for skinning, and just see the way I'm holding that. This is kind of the perfect grip for this knife because your first finger is guiding the tip, as you're making those long drawing cuts, and then even, if you're going to go up through the cavity or whatever. But then your middle finger comes over that first curve, and then these two fingers hold it here, and it's very secure in this grip. So in that capacity, this knife is designed well, and I think that's the main reason you would get this knife is to use it as a skinning knife. As a boning knife, it's not so good. Excuse me. This is a great boning knife despite being small, because the narrower the blade is, the quicker and easier it is to manipulate and to turn as you're following the bone or whatever you're trying to follow. The best example I can give you of that is I drink a lot of watermelon juice, but I get the watermelons themselves. I break them down and then I juice them. And so I split the watermelon in half, right? And then I make like a lattice pattern on the half, and then I go around the red part of the entire watermelon, and I just scoop out all that stuff. And because this knife is so narrow, it does that really well. It's a really fast turner. It'll do whatever you need it to. But since this knife is significantly wider at the base, and even so when you get up to the tip, I mean, try and get you as close as possible with that, but since this is significantly wider than the Enzo Necker, it has trouble turning to follow those curves, almost regardless of how wide the curve is, like how much extra room you have to make the turn. You just can't really do it with this, so that's why I think this is the better skinning knife, and then you would have to come in with something like this as your deboning knife. Another thing I want to address too is that a lot of times in these knife videos you'll hear people reference to like hunting knives, and I'm never really sure what they mean by that. I'm sure there's some of you out there too that feel the same way, but when I hear hunting knife, I imagine that's the tool they're using to go either dispatch the creature that they're hunting, or I don't know, like they just go out with a knife or something like that, like to hunt boar, stuff like that. But when I think of hunting, I think of sort of the twofold system, the skinning and the deboning. Because if you had to debone with this, I'm sure you could, but it would just be a nightmare, again, because you would just be scraping bone the entire time because the blade is so wide in this dimension. And this one could skin too, because I don't know if you noticed, but it's basically all belt, it's one continuous kind of curve, more or less like this one. But if I had to go with one strictly for doing both jobs, it would be this one. However, for a kitchen food prep and also a very good skinning knife that's going to hold an edge for a long time, this is a very nice option. I'll show you real quick on a piece of wood what it does carving. I'll be right back. This is just a Doug Fir 2x4. It's pressure treated. This is all I can get. But there you go. And I'm trying to set this up so I can get it in the camera. But anyway. This sucks. I'm trying to get in the camera. Sorry about that. And then I'll show you that draw knife grip I was talking about. It's very comfortable using it like this, with two hands. But again, that trailing point's a little dangerous to be working with. But I thought I should just show that anyway. So I mean, it has a good edge. It'll bite deep if I want it to. But again, it's not the preferred wood carving knife, but it can get it done. Absolutely. I get some pretty big chunks here. And I guess just for reference, I'll even use the Enzo Necker real quick so you can see what that's like. It's a little tricky to use since it's a really short blade, but And then Alright, so I think that's pretty much all it's going to be for today. I appreciate all the comments. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. Like, share, subscribe. I appreciate everything you guys do for the channel. As always, have a good one.